Welcome in the latest episode of the Need for Speed's College Basketball Podcast, presented to you by
Nobody.
I'm the real Squidgy Warner across all social media platforms. That's Big East Ben. We're doing a podcast live after the Final Four. Ben, how's this Final Four in Indianapolis, Indiana?
Everything about the Final Four was perfect, from the bar scene to the people we met to the food we ate, except for the actual games.
We went to Prime 47, saw a million coaches. Didn't get a picture with Raf, unfortunately. He basically snuck in like the white knight he is and then snuck out. We did see Boozer. We saw,
Dutcher, Tim Miles. We
yep,
saw Brian Hodgson, Fred
yep,
Hoiberg,
yep.
Earl McNeil, Tyler Hansborough, Ora Khan,
Or
Mike Young.
Mike Young. Yes, that was a good pull by me because SoCon, the real underscore G Warner, is back. Then we went to St. Elmo's today. Ben, how was your, what did you think about the shrimp cocktail at St. Elmo's?
Not fit for human consumption.
Like
Like
gasoline.
like the cocktail sauce is should be put in containment in a lab somewhere. It is deadly.
I almost had to get a fire extinguisher to put out the fire growing out of Ben's head at that point. He bounced off the table. You might have seen on my Instagram. Looked like he was gonna vomit. Did you almost vomit?
I almost vomited.
And that is the food scene in Indianapolis. We had some nice salads after a big steak at Prime 47 the night before.
We both had 12-ounce filet mignons.
We did. And then I finished a lot of A. Brooks Betts ribeye or whatever the heck he got. I ate more steak than I probably would like to admit. But that's what you do when you come to Naptown and you go to the Final Four. So the first game today was Illinois against Connecticut, and the Eastern Bloc was there.
The Eastern Bloc, they blocked some shots. That was the only thing they won the battle of. Just god-awful shooting, just dumb, lazy shots from Keenan Wagler, from Mirkovic, from
What
Humberkaus.
What'd you call the big 7 footer that starts with a T I? What'd you call him during the starting lineup?
Terrace Reed's bitch. He did play well. He was like the one bright spot for Illinois, I thought.
Because he was making three
Yeah,
pointers.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Terrace Reed doesn't like to go out there.
And solo ball, I call him Rolo ball because he got every single soft rim rolling in that game.
Yeah,
Mullins hit those two early threes,
he had two
and
offensive
then
rebounds. Big day for him on the
yep,
glass.
yep. Caravan didn't really get anything going. Yeah, man, they went up by 9. Illinois made that one push to take the 1 point lead, 22-21. UConn ran it back up to 7-9, and that was the game. Illinois made that little push behind free throws to cut it to a two-possession game, but kind of a dud of a game, and Hurley just totally overmatched Underwood. Just as I said, best bet winner.
And do you know who got the biggest reception during the announcement of starting lineups and coaches?
I believe it was the hometown kid.
No, it was definitely Danny Hurley getting booed
Oh,
by everybody in the entire arena if they weren't named Big East Ben on Twitter. Then the second game was billed as I was pumped for it, the best game of the year.
I called it
Game of
the
the
game of
year.
millennium.
Game of the millennium. Good thing we're 26 years in.
Uh, there was hope. There was hope for Arizona. Lindenberg getting 2 fouls in the first
And a Charlie horse.
70 seconds of the game. But yeah, I mean, Michigan was unconscious in three. Burnett, Gale, Cadeau was even just letting it fly in the second half. The pick and roll alley-oop tomorrow was unstoppable. And Arizona, when they weren't dicking around and bricking bad shots. As I said, that was my big worry with Arizona. They kind of get comfortable and take really bad uh, corner, top of the key jumpers, long
long
twos.
twos.
And when they weren't doing that, they were missing layups. And when they weren't missing layups, they were missing free throws. And then when they weren't missing free throws, they were turning the ball over. So yeah, that sucked. I had high hopes. I mean, that's why our tickets were so expensive that game, and it ends up being another players era tournament game for Michigan, who it looks unbeatable.
And that brings us to the Monday night game. Before we get there, if you're not liking and subscribing to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, it's called Betting the Pitch. That's where you can get a bunch of other soccer content, maybe some baseball content if A Brooks Bets ever stays up past 9 p.m. Eastern time. Also, if you want to follow Big East Ben on Twitter, do that at the Real and Scrooge Warner across social media platforms. And comments, likes, all those sort of things are very, very much appreciated as we've seen a lot more engagement. Maybe because we're 17-5 so far this NCAA tournament. Not that that's an incredible number. Well, it sort of is. It's above 77%. So we're going to try to keep that going with one more pick, and that's why you're in. We're going to talk about the final.
Oh, 77. Funny story. So I got bailed out twice with a number 77 this
From
weekend.
jail? From jail?
Of not knowing how to pronounce guys' names and just using 77. I went up to Roman Doman, Murray State, said, "Hey, 77, glad you're coming back." Then Mike Young, I don't know how to pronounce Nico Valdis's name. So I just said, "Coach, what's the word on 77? Is he coming back?" And Mike Young wasn't too bullish on him coming back.
Dang. He did have a daughter named Cooper, which is actually my sister's name. So that was wild. She took our photos. We'll be posting those across the socials to try to get all of you engaged as much as we can in what little remains of this college basketball season. But we're going to discuss the final because that's what you're here for. The UConn Huskies are taking on Michigan. If you didn't hear Big East Ben's recaps from earlier today, Connecticut now 7-point favorites. Looks like a little
Say
bit.
that again.
Michigan, 7-point favorites, like I meant to say. Thank you, Big East Ben. Total is 143.5. We saw your initial number was you saw Michigan minus 5.5, then 6.5 within clicks, it felt like, or actually between red lights of our Uber driver. And now we're up to 7. Big East Ben, do you think that UConn will be a bigger underdog now or at game time?
I think a lot of money is going to flow into Michigan due to the recency bias. We mentioned recency bias on the last show, and that's why, Michigan was a favorite over Arizona. If I don't think you can have recency bias, it's the same thing, just keeps, the Krishnas are done. 1 sec, I'll be right back.
Oh, yes. In pure in pure Need for Seeds college basketball podcasting, Big East Ben has thrown in, as he calls them, the Kerr Krishnas. But what we call in Texas or in, the Czech world where Big East Ben apparently hails from, they're called kolaches. And yes, it is 12:10 in the morning, but anytime is a good time for a Czech pig in a blanket. So that's what we're currently heating up. I'm gonna eat exactly 0 of them at the moment, but and it's really nice that there's a beeper thing on an oven because Big East Ben would have never remembered the Krishnas in the oven.
Turns out I set the timer, but did not turn the oven on.
In case you want to know how we were doing at this hour. And so back to the UConn Huskies. They're 7-point underdogs. Can Danny Hurley outwit Dusty May and Mike Boynton?
Absolutely. It's going to take a perfect game. No, Arizona, like I said, Arizona did, like, Michigan was unbelievable, but Arizona did not play a B minus, a C plus, a C minus. They played a D game.
How much of that was Michigan?
Because I don't know, man, because Michigan isn't really high in turnover rate. And maybe it's the thing we talk about with Arizona where they don't shoot threes because they don't need to shoot threes. Michigan can turn you over. They don't need to turn you over, and they decided to turn you over this game. But I mean, they were applying a lot of pressure, and Arizona was not switching up. Arizona did not help the argument of being a one-dimensional team because they kept going, driving right into the teeth of that defense. If they weren't turning the ball over, they're throwing up wild shots. Karchinov was terrible.
Karchenkov.
Karchenkov. Shout out Griffin, who saw a guy who looked like Karchiknov at a Michigan private watch party and just went right through the velvet ropes up to him to get a picture on Twitter to try to move the line, get more points for Arizona. Actually went the opposite way.
Yeah, I think people like the idea of drunk Karchenkov playing instead of sober, which I mean, apparently he's from Germany, but it's not a German name from my experience. So, maybe it was the vodka before the game that really got him going. Um, okay, so coaching, you're giving the edge to Danny Hurley, it sounds like your favorite coach in the country.
I'm giving the edge to Hurley, but I think the gap is not as wide as I would hope. I mean, Dusty May, again, I don't know if it was just um, Mo, what's his last name?
Wagner,
No, Vieras, on Arizona.
Krivas.
Like, I don't know if it's Krivas or it's just, I mean, I don't know how much stock you can put in this game. Because Jaden Bradley, again, was in foul trouble the whole game. That's a huge point of emphasis on defense, being able to shut down the guards. Cadeau was going right by Del Orso, Kachiknov, whoever was on him when Bradley was out. Like Burris was a non-factor. Did Braden Burris even play in that game?
He was there. I think he made a bunch of shots in the second half when it was 30-point spread, essentially.
We left with 12 minutes left. I was just so depressed in the game of Millennium, just falling just flat on its face. But listen, I think UConn's not going to be dummies and keep falling biting on that pick and roll with Mara. Mara is like Hurley might lose, but he's not going to allow Ade Mara to score 26 points like Tommy Lloyd did tonight. What do you think?
Uh, well, I think we talk more about UConn. I think I'll get back to the pick and roll thing. I don't think that's a Arizona being dummies. I think that's just an
Just
unstoppable
unstoppable.
play. And I don't think Terrace Reed is exactly the most mobile defender. So if he's involved in one-on-one pick and rolls with Elliot Cadeau, who suddenly can shoot threes all of a sudden, he just had to change color blues or whatever the heck to get his three-point shot to drop. Um, I have big concerns about UConn because they pretty much have one route to points in the paint, and they have a bunch of guys that just launch threes around it, which is intelligent and what you need. My concern is if Terrace Reed, I kind of had a similar feeling with Illinois today, is that if Illinois can stop Terrace Reed inside, then how is Connecticut going to score points? Reed was great today. I mean, he's been great this entire tournament. Facing a 7'3" center is a big deal. And then Michigan also has Morez Johnson to guard him if Adai is off the floor, gets in foul trouble or whatever. And I also think Yaxel Lendenborg can play inside because he can guard 1 through 5, and I don't think it's that big of a drop off. Clearly, he'd be the third choice of defenders, and you don't want Yax to get in foul trouble, but that didn't seem to bother him so much against Arizona today. And he got brought back on the floor after decent rest to play with 2 fouls and made some impact plays down the stretch before getting kneed and making 2 free throws and then leaving the game for about 10 minutes of game time. Um, but my concern is I don't think in one day on a Sunday they can put in a strategy to stop that pick and roll lob to Mara in such a quick turnaround. So that's a big concern for me. Yes, it's possible they stay home and maybe figure that out, and Michigan doesn't shoot as well from three, but they were unconscious to start the second half, arguably because Arizona was trying to put a press on to make the game faster, and they were just getting eviscerated. But there's a lot of things that look really scary for me for UConn, and I didn't have very high hopes for them in this tournament. I mean, Dan Hurley is not to be messed with, I feel like. December, January, February, maybe say Hurley now in March because he's been awesome and has lost to only a national title winner in the last
17
3 years.
0, 17-1 against the spread now in March.
That's pretty telling. So it's hard to say when he's catching a touchdown that's a game that can be won. It's certainly a spread that can be covered. Is this the best Michigan we saw today, and it just happened to be against a really good team, or is that what Michigan's going to do to Connecticut on Monday?
The thing I'm very concerned about Connecticut, and I was wrong about this in the Elite Eight game, because Connecticut got down by 15, 17 points, and my wife was like, they can still come back. I'm like, no, they can't. They play too slow. They're too deliberate. They can't come back. They came back. Credit to UConn. We saw in this game Michigan get out to a 10-1 lead,
Not great.
and Arizona just totally panic and just exacerbate things, just with bad shot selection, bad turnovers, silly fouls. I don't think UConn is going to make those same mistakes, but the fact of the matter is there is a very good chance that they can get down big early, and the way they're structured. Michigan is not going to pull a Duke and let them off the mat. Michigan is going to keep their foot on the throat of UConn. And like I said, I don't think UConn has enough firepower there, especially when, like I said, with the UConn Illinois game, I think there's going to be some regression back to the mean with shooting. And, in the meantime, you can lean on Terrace Reed to keep you in the game and carry you. Unless Ademar gets in foul trouble, I don't think you have the Terrace Reed card to play in your back pocket versus Michigan.
And if Terrace Reed gets in foul trouble, they're cooked.
Oh, absolutely. Ryba's terrible. Needs a ton of work. I mean, I had really high hopes for Ryba coming into the season. He is raw as hell, not that good of a defender, and not that good of a rebounder for being 7-1.
Yeah, I thought Krivas had a lot of success today inside on Ademara. I thought Tobe Waka also did, and six, probably eight. And
The Krishnas are done.
I guess I'll take the mic for a second. Well, Ben, put a glove on your hand so you don't burn it. Don't just reach into the fiery oven. But to that end, I think I go back and forth on can Terrace Reed score inside. I think I'm going to say he can score against everybody. I think the concern for me is really, uh, does the Michigan supporting cast, which seems like it's got so much more depth. I mean, for a while, it honestly looked like
I mean, who Burnett was the leading
Burnett.
scorer at one point.
Burnett is so
Wet.
average to me, but in that team where he gets a bunch of open threes, he can be really good. And Trey McKinney off the bench,
Oh, McKinney. I'm sorry. McKinney was incredible.
literally every shot, no matter if it was off the dribble, long twos, which you don't love, or just set shot threes, he didn't seem to miss any of them and kept in backbreaker after backbreaker when Arizona was finally getting a little momentum, making it a game, cut it to 7, missed 2 free throws at the line, got an offensive rebound, missed a 1-and-1 after they got fouled. And that was seemingly, I think, ended by a Trey McKinney run. And that was basically that. Um, I just like, I think there's a lot of risk this game gets ugly. We saw it against what I thought was a really good Arizona team. I picked to win the NCAA tournament in my brackets and still feel
As did I.
reasonable about that. But Michigan was so much better tonight. I think they were the better team and deserved it to say the least. But and Michigan's been throttling teams for this entire tournament, and you can honestly say the whole year what they did in the players era to everybody. Winning by 40, it seemed like every night. And I said to Big East Ben and Abrams bets at the game tonight that maybe that's something we should take into more consideration in the future going forward. So I think we see Connecticut try to slow the pace, Michigan try to play fast, and at the same time, Michigan they don't really need to play any tempo because they move the ball, share it really well, and they find a lot of open shooters who I don't even think are that good, but open shots are certainly much easier to make. And when you're up 24, it's also easy to. Whereas Johnson was practicing threes for the finals, it seemed for a while today, early in the second half, but Arizona wasn't doing anything with it. So if you were, I mean, we're fresh off this game, so yes, we're of course going to think that Michigan is the best thing since sliced bread because of what we just saw them do to another number one seed, whereas UConn would be a three seed. They haven't played anything higher than that so far this tournament. Um, we have Connecticut 7-point underdogs, totals 143 and a half. Are you ready for your best bet?
I said before the season started, I retweeted my tweet, hand up as a bad tweet. I said, why is this Go Blue team picked to finish second in the Big Ten? Lendenborg dogs it. Bideau's a bum. Mars a stiff. Morez Johnson Jr. cannot stay out of foul trouble. Hail to what? Bad tweet. I'll own up to it. I'll profit on Michigan this year for once. Haven't really bet them that much, but I will in this instance. Go Blue -7. Too many weapons. They just beat the number one Ken Palm team in the country with their best player barely doing anything and their point guard starting 2 of 14 from the field. And they absolutely blew him out of the gym. What happens if those two guys are on? I don't think Hurley has a chance. I hope it's a good game in my heart, but with my wallet, I'm back in Michigan -7.
But at least there's a huge UConn crowd advantage in Indianapolis.
There didn't seem out of the four parties. Well, we sat in the Michigan section. We were across from the Yukon section. Felt like they had the smallest presence of any of the four groups.
They've been in the Final Four a lot. They've had a lot of success.
Everyone wears a jersey with a player's name on the back. We saw a Sonogo. We saw lots of caravans.
We saw even Caravan pants. This girl had Caravan on her like left leg walking up the stairs. I was like, whoa. I hope she didn't hear Big East Ben saying he wouldn't even buy an autographed Caravan jersey for 11.99 when he was out in Las
I actually
Vegas.
saw a autographed jersey I'd pay less for in the restroom. That was a Illinois Coleman Hawkins autographed jersey.
Yeah, so now we're making more enemies on the Need for Speed College Basketball podcast. I think Michigan had the biggest crowd presence. They're going to get even more people that are going to show up for the championship on Monday night. Crowd was all go blue the whole time, and that was even with them not playing the first game. I think UConn's got a small sampling of fans. I think most people probably don't want to see UConn win because they're sick of it at this point, and everyone boos Dan Hurley when he gets introduced after the starting lineup. So that tells you how people feel about him. I don't really feel that way, but I guess he's probably easy to hate if you're not a UConn fan or you don't do a college basketball podcast once a week for 6 months. I will also take Michigan -7. We're 17 and 5, 78, 77 and change percent this season. NCAA tournament run. We've recorded what feels like every day since March 15th. It's now Sunday, April 5th, as we turned over into a new leaf, a new time, a new day. And we're doing a double best bet on the championship game, 17 and 5, looking to get to 19 and 5 this NCAA tournament. Michigan -7. Beast Ben, do you have anything you'd like to say to the people?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the season finale of The Need for Seeds, season 3. I appreciate everyone listening. I think it's been an incredible, even though, tonight was kind of a downer, I think it's been an incredible college basketball season. I think the popularity of sport has never been higher. Unfortunately, we got to deal with a lot of this bullshit with the transfer portal and stuff, but ultimately, I think the product is the best it ever is, and I can't wait for Season 4 of The Need for Seeds coming next year. Maybe presented by somebody, probably presented by nobody. But we're going to keep doing it. And we really appreciate the love and support and love talking college hoops.
Yeah. Once upon a time, Big East Ben said that college basketball was dead.
Did I say that?
No, you didn't. You
No.
said it's back, baby. And we'll be back with you maybe next year. Maybe we'll come back on to gloat about our incredible 19 and 5 NCAA tournament. Thank you, of course, everyone. There's been a lot more engagement across YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. I hope you guys will stick around because we're going to do a lot of World Cup stuff this summer. We're going to work on Big East Ben's pronunciations of random countries that he's never heard of before, like the one Curacao. You know what that one is?
Caracas.
And that'll do it for the last episode of the Need for Speed's College Basketball Podcast. Maduro is not from Caracas, it's Curacao.